Okay, we are learning Daf Nun Dalid in Sukkah. We are going to start from the bottom of Nun Gimel Amud Beis. We are discussing, yes, whether Tekiah Machlekes in Rabbi Yehuda and the Rabbanon, whether Tekiah true or Tekiah counts as one or counts as three. Machlekes is Uskatim true. Is that one thing or is that two things? Says the Gemara, Kaman Az Lahadam Rav Kahana. Rav Kahana Zog Tepis. Kahana said something. He said, Ein bein tekiah trua v'loy klum. Means there can be any hefsek between a tekiah and a trua. Rashi says, v'loy klum v'loy hoya mafsek bein time el kadei neshima. You could just breathe. And then continue. You couldn't be mafsek anything else. So Gemara says, come on, Rabbi Yehuda, that's like Rabbi Yehuda. That's the good. In fact, Gemara Pshita, obviously that's Rabbi Yehuda. Who else is going to be like that? Someone says, I would have thought maybe it's even going like the Rabbanon, Ula Afukim, the Rabbi Yochanan. And maybe it's coming as opposed to the Shita of Rabbi Yochanan. Meaning that maybe even the Rabbanon don't agree to Rabbi Yochanan. What does Rabbi Yochanan say? Rabbi Yochanan says, there's the Midiaraisa, you have to hear 9, I shouldn't say Midiaraisa, but the Iker Takana is to hear 9 shofar blasts, because they have to hear Malchis, Zechronis, and Shofars. And that's how, if that's the Eraisa, the Rabbanon, there's a Rashi that says Zechron Shur talking about Malchis, Zechronis, and Shofars, but that's the Nusach HaTvila, so it really can't be. But you need to have a Tekiah true, a Tekiah for each, because every trua needs a Tekiah before it and a Tekiah after. So that's 9, right? And Rashi says the reason why we have more is because we're mesupik what a trua is. Is it a shvarm? Is it a trua, or is it a shvarm trua? That's why we blow all of that. That's why we have 30 is our minimum. But Vinishvi, Rabbi Yochanan says that if you heard Teisha, if you were mafsik, a guy blew tekiah, and then an hour later you heard a trua, an hour later you heard not tekiah, and the ganze talk like that. So he says, Yotza, you fulfilled your obligation. So I would have thought that maybe that even the Rabbanan hold that Ein Bein Tekiah Trua V'Loy Klum is going to Rabbanan and not like Rabbi Yochanan. Says the Gemara of Kamash Shalan that no, it's the Rabbanan are go like Rabbi Yochanan too. The Eimachanam. How do you know? Maybe Taka means maybe the Rabbanan. Maybe Taka is Rabbanan. How do you know that? Well, from what words in this memra give it away that it's not like that? It's not Rabbanan. It's only like Rabbi Yehuda. Because in Kain Mai V'Loy Klum. The words of like Klum are mashma that you can't have any hafsaka. And the Rabbanan hold you could have some hafsaka, you just can't have such a big hafsaka, maybe like the Rabbanan. So therefore, this phrase couldn't be going like the Rabbanan. Okay. Zak the Gemara weiter. Erev Shabbos Shabbat. So if you remember, the Mishnah was discussing how many tekiyas do you have. So we said daily there are 21 tekiyas. You got to keep chashmini with the math now. Okay, the most is 48. So obviously now everyone's going to go through. Is that really it? Come on, you can't have more, you can't have less. I mean, maybe there are other days you can have that also. So let's do it. Says the Gemara. Before that, remember when the Gemara counted, we made this ha'ara that the Mishnah had told us that they would start blowing at the top of the stairs by the shar of the Ezras Yisrael, and then they'd go down. Either they're going down 10 stairs or 5 stairs, but on stair 10. Depending which way you count, so then they blow again. But that wasn't listed amongst the tekiyas that they blew on Sukkot. So, for the Gemara, is like a tani. The Mishnah doesn't mention the 10th step. So Gemara says, Masis and Mani, Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, because this Mishnah is going like Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, and Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov hold that they didn't blow on the 10th step. Says the Gemara, how do we know that? That we learned in a brisa. The Tanya, Shalosh Lemaila Asiris. He had 3 shofar blasts on the 10th step. No, they weren't on the 10th step. They had 3 on top of the Mizbeach. So the Gemara says, Ha'omer Lemaila Asiris Eine Omer Al Gabi HaMizbeach. V'omer Al Gabi HaMizbeach Eine Omer Al Maila Asiris. So it was machlokes. Did they blow these 3 on the 10th step, or did they blow it on top of the Mizbeach? But the number didn't change. Everybody holds it's still 48, just to make it meshayel of where it was done. Now, what's the pshat in the machlek? It says the Gemara. My time there Eliezer ben Yaakov. Well, he says, even the talk of psicha sha'arim. Lamala asir is lamali. Ditaka. High lav sharhu. Listen, you're blowing for the Nisa Chamayim. So you're starting at the top by the shar. That I get. So why? Like, what's the point of blowing on step number 10? That's like sounds like so random. So if this has to do with you blew by the top, you blew at the bottom, you blew at the shar. So blow on the mizbech when you're doing the Nisa Chamayim. So therefore he doesn't like blowing on the 10th step. Lamli the taka high lav shar, who is not a shar. Hilkach lagab mizbech, or therefore blowing on top of the mizbech is better. Rabbanan Savri, Rabbanan holds given the taka lamilui hamayim. Well, once you're blowing for filling the water, then like Avim Mizbeach Lemli, there's no point in blowing again on the on the Mizbeach. So therefore, the 10th step is better. Now, why the 10th? What's this in with the Maila Asiris? Rashi says it's a Makkah Misuyim. Leaves like, come on, there's got to be more to it. The Marsha says it's going to be Miramis to the Shem Yud K, Yud Hey. So it blew on the top, and then it either blew on the 10th step, or you blew, or on the 5th step, right? But it's coming to Miramis to the Shem Yud Hey. Why the Shem Yud Hey? Maybe because to show you that in the Bayesheni, it didn't have the full Shem Yud K Vav K. It didn't have the same as Galus. Possibly because that was the Shem we were using here, L'Koi Nenu, that we're davening for. So that was the Shem Yud Hey. That's the remez in the but the Tekiyas was being when we were dividing the steps into 10 and 5. Okay. Says the Gemara weiter, Ki aser v'acha bar Chanina midroima, Aisi masnisa biyadei. So when Rav Acha bar Chanina came from the south, he brought a brisa with him. Now, the significance of the south was, there was somebody, I forgot who it was, now one of the Tanaim, who wasn't happy with what was going on in Yerushalayim, and he left, and he went down to the south, and he set up his own Beis Medrash. And it's I forgot who it was. South of
Yerushalayim or
south of Eretz Yisrael. He went south of Eretz Yisrael. Oh man, you're reminding me. It was south because he had a shita about the chagiga that he didn't agree with the Rabbanon with, and therefore he didn't want to be machayiv in Alila Regel, I think. So he went to move down south. He was far enough away, didn't have to be Alila Regel. I think something like that. He set up a yeshiva down there. The Gemara is mentioning this is because even though the Chacham and Yerushalayim weren't so happy with the Beis Medrash down there, but they didn't. If you had what to teach, if you had what to offer, they wanted to hear it. So Rabbi Bar Chanina midroima Aisa masnisa biyada. He came with a brisa, and the brisa went as follows: Ubenei Ahar nakehanim yitku b'chatzetzos. So the Gemara says that this is in the parsha of the chatzetzos in Bamidbar, where it talks about the mitzvah to make chatzetzos. So it says Bnei HaKahanim yitku b'chatzetzos. So Shemar says Shein Tam Olam yitku. It doesn't have to say that they blew the chatzetzos because we know they're blowing. Shekvar nemer v'tkadem b'chatzetzos ala leitzechem azav cheshal meichem. U'ma Tam Olam yitku. So why does it say yitku? Hakol l'fiyam musaf and taikin. What does that mean? Hu tanalav hu amir la. He explains Laima shetaikin akol musaf u'musaf, because that to tell you that they would blow additionally on every musaf that was brought. Okay, so the Mishnah you blew was it how many for a musaf? An extra 3, I guess. No, I'm sorry, Aitesha. There were another 9 for every musaf. So Rabbi Acha said in this brisa it came to teach us that every musaf got another. So if you had a day that had 2 musafin, you would blow an additional 9, that you or additional 18. Okay, 1 for each musaf. Now, just a technical point here in the drush that was made. The problem here is that the pasuk that's quoted first, "Bnei Aaron HaKahanim Yitku b'chatzetzos," actually comes before the pasuk "U'sakatim b'chatzetzos." So it's difficult to say that that it shouldn't have said it in the first pasuk, but only in the later pasuk. And Rashi seems to learn that's what he says. It should leave out the word Yitku. There is a pasuk before that also says Yitku, so maybe that's where it's coming from. But it's a difficult. Rashi could be saying that it's an extra word for whatever reason. There's an extra Yitku. The Gemara was being exactly which one it's extra, but there's an extra tkiya, and therefore that's what's coming to Dashin, that every musaf gets a tkiya. Okay, wow. So your antennas go up. 1 second. If every musaf gets a tkiya, so is that? Are we still limited at 48? So that's exactly Gemara. Tanan. Well, let's see this. Our Mishnah said erev Shabbos shebetoich hachag. When erev Shabbos of Chol Hamoed, Sukkos, Hayusham memches. That was our big number 48. Mimisa, why don't we? You don't have to give me that example. Listening Shabbos Shabbatei Chachag. Why don't you just talk about Shabbos Cholamayid? Because then Mishkachas la Chamshin V'chad. You'll end up with 51. How so? Let's just make a quick chashbon here. If you had if an Erev Shabbos of an Erev Shabbos Cholamayid had an additional 6, right? Because meaning there were 21 of every day, and then your Sukkos gave you an additional what was it, 24, I think, or 20.
45 maybe.
And then no, so it was only an additional 40, 22, 23, 21, an additional 21. Gave us the 42, and then this. Sorry, I don't remember. Let's make the cheshbon. Sorry. What's the cheshbon? Let's see if Rashi says it over here before I look at the Mishnah. Rashi says. Oh, he says. So 12. There were 12 of the Chag. Here's the Mishnah. Let's just count them. Sorry. The Mishnah said that Sholosh l'psicha sha'arim, Sholosh l'shar ha'elyon, Sholosh l'shar tachton, V'sholosh l'milei hamayim, V'sholosh l'gabe mizbeach. So that was 15. So it's 21 and 15 is going to give us 36. Is that right? 36. And then, no, that can't be. That only brings you to 42 on Erev Shabbos. Was also a Musaf. That's why, because there's also a Musaf. So that's 36 and another 9 will give us 45. Okay. So then why was there, but then there's another 6 though for Erev Shabbos. So we're off somewhere. I think there are only 12. Okay, I must have counted something wrong. There are only 12 for additional on Chag, not 15. There are 12 additional on Chag. There are, so you have 21 plus 12 plus 8 for the carbon. That brings us to 42. Then if it was an Erev Shabbos, you got another 6. That got you to 48. But if you didn't have, if it wasn't Erev Shabbos, it was actually Shabbos, and you bring 2 Musafin, so it'd be another 9, which would bring you to 51. Okay? 21, let's get the cheshbon. 21 every day, 12 for the Chag, for Sukkos, and then 8 for a Musaf, and then another 8 for the second Musaf. So the kasha, it should be 51. L'chera Shabbos Chol Moed Sukkos has more. That's the kasha. Says the Gemara, we don't blow shofar for the Psicha Sharm of the Nisach HaMayim, although we don't do that on Shabbos. And therefore, we can minus those. Amarava, the more than Psicha Sharm were the ones, I think there was more than that. So that would minus you, right? That would take off the 3 for opening the gates. Okay. So where it says, Amarava, man ha t'leichash l'kimcha. So Rava was not happy with this. Who's this one here who hasn't ground up, taken out the subin? Meaning, this is not a good vart. First of all, he says, the Mishnah says every day. Va'oid, inami kahadadininu, listening Shabbos Shabbatei Chachag. Hayusham arbam v'shmeina, l'shma minatarti. So first of all, it says every day. Right, meaning the diak is really from the Rashash. The diak is from the fact that it says that when there was a Musaf, there was another 9 oid, meaning it sounds like there were 21 plus 9 that we're not minusing anything for Psichas Hashar, even on Shabbos. So that's first of all. Second of all, even if you're right, so you have 48. So why do we have to go do a new 48? Just tell me 48 is when Shabbos Chol Moed. We have to talk about every Shabbos, and you have a harvachi. There are 2 halachis you learn if you talk about Shabbos Chol Moed. First of all, you learn Shema Minah de Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov. You'll learn the halacha of Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov, which is that we don't count. We would have had his enumeration, and that you do not count you don't blow the shofar on the 10th step. And you would also learn this halacha that a mukar musaf gets 2. You get 2 for each. You get 1 for each. You get 9 tekiyas for every kar musaf. You don't blow at all for filling the water on Shabbos. You know why? Because you did it on Erev Shabbos, the Mishnah said. Therefore, the Bachi Tuva, so you don't even have close. All you're going to have is 39. You're going to have 21 regular plus another 18 for the 2 musafin. So you'll have 39. Shabbos Chalmar, you had 39. Okay. Okay. Now, when Rosh Hashanah falls out on Shabbos, you also have 48. How's that? Da'ikat plus a musafin, because then you had 3 musafs. You had the musaf of Rosh Hashanah, you have musaf of Rosh Chodesh, you have musaf of Shabbos. So, meaning, why is Erev Shabbos of Chol Hamoed Sukkos any better than Shabbos Rosh Hashanah? Says the Gemara, Erev Shabbos Shabbatei Chag Itzrach Leila Shmina. I needed to teach me the halacha of that we hold like Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov, that you don't blow on the 10th step. Did I ever say you should say one and not the other? So say both. Why are you giving me only one? Says the Gemara, the reason the Mishnah is not listening to you every case. It's listening one case, and then there are other cases. Now the rule is you can only say that is if there's something else that was left out also. Because if it's only 2 things, to say both. If there's a list of 3, okay, so you said 1, you left out 2. So what's the other one that was left out? I mean, what else is a 48-day? But listen to how Tanya Shire. In fact, my Shire, the High Shire. What did you leave out that you're leaving this one out? It says, Gemara Shire, Erev Pesach. Why? How do you get so many on Erev Pesach? Erev Pesach is a regular day, so you get 21. So where do you get the remaining? The remaining 27. The remaining 27 comes because when they said halal. Remember how, when you in Pesachim, it discusses that the way they brought the Korban Pesach, it was brought in 3 groups. Everyone would come into the Beis Hamikdash and they bring a group in and they start shachting the Korban Pesach to that group. While they did that, they said halal 3 times, and each time they said halal, they blew 3 blasts. Tekiah, true tekiah. So since they did it 9 times for each group, and there were 3 groups, so we have 27 additional blasts. So there were 27 blasts of additional blasts on Erev Pesach while they were shachting the Korban Pesach. Okay, very good shmak. Says Gemara, Erev Pesach lav shiru. No, that's not good. Why? Dahamani Rabbi Yehuda, because the Tana could be Rabbi Yehuda. And Rabbi Yehuda says, they show you muatin. The Gemara says that Rabbi Yehuda would say that the 3rd group never said halal more than once. They didn't even finish halal the first time. By the time they said ahavti, why? Because everybody wanted to be in the first 2 groups. Everyone wanted to be in the first group. They couldn't get the first. So the 3rd group, how many people left? There weren't too many people left already. So they never finished. So according to him, you only had an extra 12, 9, and is 18, 21. You only have an extra 21. You're missing another 6.
Why did they finish anyway? Even though it was fewer people, why did they finish?
They didn't do it 3 times. Maybe they finished the first halal, but they didn't do it for sure. They didn't do it another 2 times. So they only had 3 tekiyas as opposed to having 9, so they're short 6. So the Gemara says, 1 second. You already told us, oh, Kimnan, Delay Rabbi Yehuda. We already said the mission is not like Rabbi Yehuda, right? Because Rabbi Yehuda holds you count every 3 blasts as 1. So our mission is clearly not like Rabbi Yehuda. Maybe he holds like Rabbi Yehuda regarding halal on by the Korban Pesach, and he disagrees with him in how you count it. Okay. Ella, my shayr. So according, if we're going to go with the assumption, so interesting, like Gemara, like why make up such a Tana that holds like Rabbi Yehuda in one thing and not like the other? But Gemara's trying to find another shayr. Gemara says, Ella, my shayr, the high shayr. Shayr erev Pesach shachali is be'erev Shabbos. Apik shiz v'ayil shiz. So according to Rabbi Yehuda, remember we were 6 short. But if it's erev Shabbos, on erev Shabbos you have to blow another 6 because to mavdil of the amim malacha. So that gives us another 6 anyway. So that would be another scenario where you would have 48. All right. So we have 3 scenarios where you can have 48. We have Shabbos Chol Hamoed Sukkos. We have erev Shabbos Chol Hamoed Sukkos, we have you have Erev Pesach according to the Rabbanon, and according to Rabbi Yehuda, you have Erev Pesach. That's Erev Shabbos.
Agav, why don't you say anything about Rosh Chodesh on Rosh Hashanah? So there's a musaf for Rosh Chodesh that you bring.
Yeah.
You don't make a single mention of it.
It's a good, it's a good ha'ara. It's an excellent ha'ara. We don't even say it in the Musafin. Novad, I think we do. Remember, we might mention it in the Musafin.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll check it out. I think we may, but it's a good ha'ara. We won't say anything about it. It could be it's Nichlal and Rosh Hashanah because it always falls out like that. I don't know. It's a good ha'ara. And it's spoken about. It's a good ha'ara. Okay, Zak Gemara weiter. Ve'ein ma'isiven al memches. You don't have more than 48. In fact, the Gemara v'lai. What do you mean? Va'ika erev Pesach shechal yez b'Shabbos. You have erev Pesach that will fall out on the Shabbos. Okay. The Ilah Rabbi Yehuda again. Erev Pesach again. If erev Pesach is Shabbos, so a regular Shabbos has 21 plus 9 is 30. If it's erev Pesach, so we're blowing another 27. According to the Rabbanan, and then right for each for the Halal, so that would give us 57. And according to Rabbi Yehuda, you would have not 57, but you'd have 51. You don't have 9 times; you only have 3 times. An additional. And when Erev Pesach falls out, right? Erev Pesach falls out on Shabbos, because that's when the Shechting the Korban Pesach. Okay, so everybody's Shabbos. Either Rabbi Yehuda Chamshin v'Chad, it's 51, and either Rabbanan it's Chamshin v'Shabbos, 57. So Gemara says, "Oh, you're right. So you could have more, but Kiktani Ma'idi the Isa b'Chol Shana. Pesach Shechalis v'Shabbos less b'Chol Shana v'Shana like Katani." Okay, so we wanted to say the Mishnah was talking about something that happens every year. This happens once in a while, so that when we didn't list it, but in Echanami. In fact, Gemara Atu Erev Shabbos Shabbatei Chag Mi Isa b'Chol Shana. Is there always an Erev Shabbos on Sukkot? Is there always an Erev Shabbos? Zimnin b'lei mishkachas. It's possible you don't have that. How would you not have it if you know it's an 8-day holiday? How do you not have an Erev Shabbos? Hechidam ikigain shachal yom tov rishon be'erev Shabbos. If Yom Tov if the first day of Yom Tov would fall out on Erev Shabbos, so then it would be because then your next Friday is already Shemini Atzeres. So it doesn't happen every year, and still we have that. But it says not, it doesn't happen. If that were to come out in the calendar, then we would make El Mali. We do it 30 days in El. We'd push it up. We wouldn't want that to happen. My time.
Just to avoid this.
No, we'll see in a second. My time, even the equal Yom Tov Rishon Shel Chag liyos be'erev Shabbos. Because if the first day of Sukkot falls out on Shabbos, then when was Yom Kippur? Yom Kippur Eimas Havi. When's Yom Kippur? Bechad b'Shabbos. Yom Kippur is going to end up being on a Sunday. We don't want Yom Kippur to be on a Sunday. Hilkach tachin alei. Therefore, we push it off. We don't want Yom Kippur to be on a Sunday because then the prices are going to go up because people are going to be buying a lot of food for Shabbos and Yom Kippur. For my Yom Kippur. I think that's the reason. Now, it's just the rule is Loi Adu Rosh. Loi Adu Rosh, Rosh Hashanah will not fall out on a Sunday, a Wednesday, or a Friday. That's all. And Sukkot is the same days as Rosh Hashanah. And Yom Kippur is always the day after Rosh Hashanah, the second day of Rosh Hashanah. Okay. What second? Do we really push it off? You tell me it doesn't happen that you can have an Erev, that you can have Yom Kippur on a Sunday? V'atanan, we have a Mishnah. It says Chelvei Shabbos Kareven b'Yom Kippurim. If Shabbos was Erev Yom Kippur, so then Chelvei Shabbos, you were allowed to bring the chalavim of Shabbos on Yom Kippur. V'amar Reb Zera. Ki avinam be'Rav b'Bavel hava amri. And Reb Zera would say when we were by Rav in Bavel, he would say Hadatanya Yom Kippurim shechal is Erev Shabbos. If Yom Kippur would fall out on Erev Shabbos, lo hayu toikin, they would not blow to be mavdil the ami malacha because people already asked about malacha on Yom Kippur. And they wouldn't make Havdalah on my Motzei Yom Kippur. Divrei Hakol, that is everybody's opinion. I mean, the machlokes is only whether Chel V'Shlamim, Chel V'Shabbos could be Kriyim B'Yom Kippurim. But everybody agreed that you wouldn't blow the tkiyas on Erev Shabbos, and you wouldn't be Mavdil. So Mara says, so what do you see though from this whole deal is clearly that Erev Shabbos that Yom Kippur can fall out on a Sunday. If Yom Kippur can fall out on a Sunday, that means the first day of Sukkot can fall out on a Friday. Says Gemara, Kisalikas la'asam, when we came up to Eretz Yisrael, Ashken Chasei the Rabbi Yehuda, Breder of Shimon Pasi, the Yosef the Ka'amar Rabbi Akiva, and he ended up saying that is going according to Rabbi Akiva. That's the end of that statement. I'm sorry. The Maisa, the kasha though is that is the kasha we just asked, that Lamaisa comes out that you can have Yom Kippur on a Sunday. This is like kasha Rabbanan Acher. A different machlekes. It's taika machlekes between the Rabbanan and Acherim whether or not the calendar was set. Yeah, I don't know if it was set by that time or how. No, in general, do we force a Iber Chaydish? And we see as follows: the time London embrace Achir Maimim, and Achir is Reb Meir. Ein bein atzeres latzeres and bein Rosh Hashanah Rosh Hashanah ela arba yom bavad. From Yom Tov to Yom Tov, you only have a 4-day. Meaning, if Shavuos was on a Sunday, next year it will be on a Thursday. Always. Why is that? Because he holds there's always 6 months of 29 days and 6 months of 30 days. There's no fudge in it.
Try to get 4.
And therefore, a year, according to him, is always going to be 354 days. 354 days will be 50 weeks plus 4 days. Right, so there's always going to be a gap or going to be a change of 4 days from year to year, except and if it was a leap year, so you had an extra month. The extra month is going to be 29 days. It's always chaser. It's 29 days. Therefore, that's 4 weeks plus 1 day. So you have an additional day that you're going to be extra. So in a regular year, there are four, and otherwise it's 5. And that is Achirim Shi. The Rabbanan disagree with that. Rabbanan hold, no, if need be, we'll push out, we'll make it a month 30 days, and then the calculations are not going to be that simple. So the sheet that holds that it's that you could have Yom Kippur on a Sunday would be Achirim, because he holds, we don't mess with the calendar. It's always 354 days, and always divided like that. But according to the Chacham, no, you could have years that you have more days. If you have, if every month was Mali, you'd have an extra 6 days. It'll be 360 days. If every month it was Chaser, so then you'd have 348 days. So
that calendar now is 354.
Correct. Yes, and therefore it should be that there are
4
4
days. And then 5 and 9.
Yeah. Okay, now this is going back to a kasha on Rav Acha. Remember, Rav Acha is one who said that we blow extra 9 tekiyas for every covered musaf of the day. So it says the Gemara, Meisvei, in fact, the Gemara, Rosh Chodesh Achal Yes b'Shabbos. When Rosh Chodesh occurs on Shabbos, Shir Shel Rosh Chodesh, Doiche Shir Shel Shabbos. So the Shir Shel Rosh Chodesh is Barchi Nafshi, and that pushes off the Shir of Shabbos. Via Misa, 1 second, if you're right that we have 2, we blow 9 for the second musaf also, so then Lema the Shabbos or Lema the Rosh Chodesh. Why don't we say both Shirim? That's what they mean. They would blow it during the Shir. They'd blow the shofar during when they were singing the shir 3 times. They'd make a break at 3 different places during the shir of that day and blow the shofar. Says the Gemara, Amr Safra, my deicha lekade. Doesn't mean you pushed it off completely. It just said that it would come first. So they would say Barchi Nafshi before they would say the shir shel Shabbos. I just don't know exactly how they would do that in terms of the karbanas. They brought I'm assuming that they brought the musaf of Shabbos before the musaf of Rosh Chodesh. So I don't know when the shir was sung that they would do that. Practic Gemara, Va'amai, Shim wants to know, Tadir v'sheni tadir kaidim. How could you be mocked him? How could you let Baruch Nafshi come before the shir of Shabbos? Tadir one, the one that is constant comes first. Rabbi Yochanan leida shehukva Rosh Chodesh b'zmani. They did this to let it be known that Rosh Chodesh was on its proper time. So the Taka made it. They went out of the regular halacha of Tadir, which is interesting that you could do that. To do this as a hecker. In fact, the more bahayakera of dinan. Is this the hecker we do? Look how we do a different hecker. What's the other hecker? The Gemara says it Tanan. We learned in the Mishnah. The Mishnah is going to talk about where they placed the items on the mizbech. There was part of the avodah that different kahanim were zeicha to be able to bring the limbs on the mizbech. So depending, they wanted to make sure that the limbs didn't get mixed up. So there were specific places where each of the ivarim went. So the Tamar shel shacher nitna mechatzi keves ulamata b'mizrach. So if you're picturing the ramp, if you're on the bottom part of the ramp, so there was a halfway mark. Before the halfway mark on the right, which is the mizrach, they would put the ivarim of the Tamar shel shacher, and then v'shal musafin nitan mechatzi keves ulamata. Whatever musaf, let's say the musaf of Shabbos, was put on the before the halfway mark on the left, and then b'mayra v'shal Rosh Chodesh nitnin tachas karkov hamizbeach. Karkov was the seiviv, and that was about 2/3 of the way up, because the mizbeach was 9 tvachim, 6 tvachim until the seiviv, and 3 tvachim over. So 2/3 of the way up to Kavesh was the karkov, was the seiviv. So they put it over there. Ulamata, so tachas karkov hamizbeach ulamata was where the Rosh Chodesh went. So you already have a hecker. They did this simin, so people would know that Rosh Chodesh was put in its proper time. Says the Gemara, Trey Hakera Avdinan. They did too. The Chazi, the High Chazi. So if you saw this one, you saw that one. If Chazi, the High Chazi. So if you saw that one, you saw that one. So there are 2 Hakeras that Rosh Chodesh was Hukva Bizmani. They said the Baruch Hinashi before the Shir Shal Shabbos, and they placed the carbon musaf of Rosh Chodesh above the other tamidim of the other karbanos of the day.
Isn't the carbon musaf Rosh Chodesh enough of a hecker? Why do you need another hecker?